Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another hip hop topic I was thinking about over the week and just thinking about some of the anticipation of some of these albums that we have been looking forward to, but we haven't had a release date for them. We've just been hearing rumblings. And the biggest one I was thinking about was J. Cole's The Fall Off album. We've been waiting on that album for a few years. We haven't gotten anything other than that Might Delete Later album, which he should have deleted and it should never came out. Wasn't a fan of that album. It was bad timing as well with the whole Kendrick and Drake beef stuff. But um, this album is still anticipated because we know J. Cole puts out high quality projects. He never gives us a bunch of fluff. It's usually great albums and great content. So we're always looking forward, or I'm always looking forward to J. Cole project because he always gives the fans what they're looking for. He's very unique in that way, especially with content. I look forward to more of his verses than his choruses, which most artists, people love the choruses and the verses you can take them or leave them. But for him, his verses are very strong, which is unique, but that's a sign of greatness as well. Because I feel the same way about a Nas. I'm looking forward to his verses more so than his choruses because of what he's saying, the social commentary that he provides, the knowledge that's in it, the wisdom, the words to live by, so to speak, that he gives you, or the word, or as they say in the church atmosphere. Um, he always provides that. So it's been over 4 years since his last album dropped. Of course, he's been doing other things. He's other projects. I'm pretty sure that he's been working on, JID stuff and stuff like that. So I know he's been working on other things, but it's about time for him to release a project. Will 2026 be that year? Because we know a lot of albums are anticipated, which I will release a podcast about that. Um, that's soon to come. But on top of that list, you definitely have to put J. Cole's album because it's been a while and we want to know after all the things that he's been through, how he thinks about it or what his feelings are, because I know he's going to give us grade A content and grade A perspective. And we know his brand took a little bit of a hit after the Kendrick beef, but then after in the aftermath, we're like, wow, he made a great decision because, he's not caught up in all the mess and, he looks more like a peacemaker in all of it, even though he initially initiated, but then retracted. So a lot of people were up in arms about that. But in hindsight, he looks like a genius for doing that because Kendrick would have demolished anybody who came after him at that time. So it was a smart move. And Kendrick, J. Cole, we hold him in high light. So we didn't want to see him like that. So I'm glad he did make that move. But I believe after this mishap, a great album, which he usually gives us, and great rapping will fix all of that. Because we know when it's time for the album to drop, all would be forgotten if you put out a great project. That's the one flaw that Drake did is he didn't make great music. He continued just to make moves behind the scenes that were just very childish. If he would have came out with great music, all would have been forgotten, and people would have kept going their separate ways. But when you do things like the social media antics and the away from the studio antics, it looks different. So J. Cole just stayed it in the cut. So I think he still has room to atone for what he did. And I think J. Cole is still a top 5 MC right now, even though he hasn't been active as we usually like to see him. But I believe when he releases his project, it'll be Grammy nominated, and I believe he will have one of the top 3 albums of the year. Granted, if Drake or Kendrick or Future and all of these other pieces who are usually at the top of hip hop release a project, but I think he still would be top 3, if not top 1, depending on who releases and what they release, of course. But usually he's in that top range. Um, and he's one of those few artists that can disappear and actually come back like nothing ever happened. And we know Kendrick Lamar is like that. We know a Nas can do that. A Jay-Z definitely can do that, which it's discussion if he'll drop a project next year because it's been a while for him as well. I want to say it's been almost 8 years since he dropped the project. So anytime he dropped anything, single, whatever, it's going to be at top of the charts because we know he didn't lose a step. And Kanye is the same way as well. He can drop a project without missing a beat if he misses a few years, but he usually doesn't do that. So definitely Cole is up there. He still has room and still has a fan base that a cult like following as well. that will support him whenever does release this project, and hopefully it is next year. But we don't have a release date or feature list or production list, which I'm assuming he'll do most of the production. But a couple of things I was looking for if he does drop this album next year or whenever he drops it. First, I want a Nas feature because we know he had a song, He Let Nas Down. Uh, can they have a song playing off of that that kind of addresses that and then kind of bring us that genuine hip hop moment that we need? Because Nas just dropped a project a couple of weeks ago, and he's still active as ever at the age of over 50 years old. And I want to see him on a project with J. Cole because they have similar content and similar styles as far as rapping goes. J. Cole's a little bit more flashier, but lyric wise, I think Nas and J. Cole are pretty much on the same level. So I would definitely want to see that feature. And then next, I want to see a Kendrick Lamar feature because they've done songs in the past. But I want to say it's Forbidden Fruit. That was a great song, but I want to see them actually work together again, and just to show that they've mended things. And I think it would just be great lyrical content as well because they're on the same level too lyrically. They're one of those few lyricists that are still in the game, that's still doing it. So I definitely always want to see a Nas and Kendrick Lamar feature because these guys can make great music, and I definitely want to see a collab album from them one day, which I think would be spectacular. And then lastly, I want to see a Jay Z feature because they have a couple of songs together, and they've worked in the past, and they have a great respect for one another. And they had the story of J. Cole trying to sign to Jay Z and in the rain and rapping for him and things like that. So they have that history there, but they are legends in the hip hop game, and you always want to see legends with legends and mutual respect for one another and what they were able to do for each other. So Jay, of course, like we said before, he hasn't been active as you would like him to be because he's been behind the scenes with the casino business and other businesses he's been trying to do, and he's more behind the scenes with Rock Nation and things like that. So, but you always want to see a feature between Jay Z and J Cole, just for the fact of just them going back and forth. A record would be classic as well. But are yet to see what this album would sound like. But those are a couple of things I wanted for this album. Hopefully, this album will drop, and of course, I will do a review and a preview when we get a date for this album. But I got a feeling that this album will drop in the middle of the night. Um, in a random time with no promotion because he's one of those rare artists that can drop without no promotion and still do well. So tell me your thoughts about J. Cole and when he will release this album. And until next time, see you next time.